The Onaga led me to a teleportation circle they had happened upon one day. I was in luck. They said they had chased some human fellow to it, and he used it to escape them. They would have followed, but they weren't quite sure how to use it. I told them I would give it a try since I had some knowledge of teleportation circles. I may have told the Onaga a little white lie. I did know how to operate the teleportation circle. I just didn't plan on taking the Onaga with me.
Hey, wait.
Bye! I appeared in a desert, relieved to get away from the Onaga. I made my way through the desert, and I was regretting my escape from the Onaga. I found myself in a village of huts, where the Haresian people lived. The Haresians were a rabbit folk who lived on the eastern end of the continent of Fogalo. I had heard a little bit about them from a few, very few, books I was able to find. They seemed friendly, but many people did not visit them. They were notorious for something, but I could not remember what it was. They had been ignored for years until a few explorers discovered that they made the best chocolate in the world. Many tried to find the recipe, but due to the Haresian language being the hardest language to understand, there was no way to communicate it. I can't imagine the Haresians would tell anyway. I tried to see if they had any tales to tell, but the language barrier made it near impossible. I found who I thought was the chief, who did their best to tell me something.
Pork porkin, gorga bork. Pork pork pork. Pork pork. Pork 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 pork.
Perhaps I led you all astray. I was hoping the chief knew a bit of common, but no luck there. I searched the village for anything that could tell me a story. I was in luck. A kindly villager had given me a few stone tablets. The Haresians seemed to tell stories through pictures. They were crude, but I felt I could discern the tale a little bit. The chief had pointed to a picture of what I could only assume was the protagonist and said,
Raborbitorg.
So I went from there. There was a capricious young Haresian named Raborbitorg. Raborbitorg was known for causing trouble. There was the time he had upset Raborbitorg, the dragon, when he had acquired some of the creature's hoard. To make up for his transgressions, Raborbitorg took the sap from the legendary glass tree, which is a tree known for having transparent bark. Its sap granted Raborbitorg the gift of invisibility. The dragon couldn't find the mischievous Haresian, so it eventually gave up. Raborbitorg shared the sap with his people, and that is why Haresians can become invisible. I didn't know Haresians could turn invisible. That's interesting. Raborbitorg had many adventures, and misadventures, until the invaders came. It was hard to make out what the invaders were supposed to be. They were drawn rather crudely, so I will stick to just calling them the invaders. Anyway, these invaders seemed to want something, or they would threaten to enslave Raborbitorg's people. I'm guessing they wanted food. I wish these people spoke common. Let's press on. So Raborbitorg went to find food, I'm guessing, to satiate the invaders' hunger for conquest. Raborbitorg set out on his quest. The first thing he needed was milk, I guess. Raborbitorg went to meet a magical cow. There was no name for this creature on the tablet, so I will call it Magicow. Why not? So Raborbitorg met with the Magicow and asked, "Oh, great Magicow." I know there is no dialogue on the tablets, but I am trying to fill in the blanks here. Bear with me. Anyway, "Oh, great Magicow, may I have your milk?"
I will give you my milk, but you must do something for me.
"Anything, oh great bovine."
I need you to bring me. Bring me.
I looked through the tablet, but there seems to be a few carvings that were rubbed out and lost, so let's see. What do cows like? She asked for,
Hay. I want hay.
We'll go with that. So Raborbitorg said, "I will go get your hay, O great magical cow." So Raborbitorg went to get the hay. My apologies, I think I had some of the slabs out of order, but I think I made a good guess. So Raborbitorg found himself at the farm of what looks like a kangaroo. Oh, that's a kangaroo. I've heard of them. Anyway, Raborbitorg talked to the kangaroo farmer. "Oh, great kangaroo farmer, I need your hay to save my people." Sadly, the kangaroo farmer was not interested in helping, I think.
I don't care about your people. Give me gold or leave.
But I have no gold, good sir.
I have no hay for you. Leave.
Raborbitorg would not be deterred by the farmer's rudeness. He would get the hay a different way. Later that night, Raborbitorg returned to the farm to acquire the hay. Raborbitorg returned to the magic cow. I have returned and brought you much hay. May I now have your milk? The magic cow sneered at the Haresian.
Oh, this is not enough hay. You cannot have my milk.
The magic cow proceeded to eat the hay that Raborbitorg brought. Raborbitorg was upset, so he decided he would acquire the milk as he had acquired the hay. Later that night, Raborbitorg snuck back when the magic cow was sleeping, managed to milk her without waking her. Raborbitorg made off with the milk, thinking that he would need more for his recipe. Raborbitorg went to find the next ingredient. He was going to need sugar. Raborbitorg found a field of sugar cane. He was delighted by his luck until a creature charged towards him. Raborbitorg found himself face to face with looks like a dragon, but smaller. No wings. Maybe it's a drake. Let's call it a drake. Why not? Raborbitorg encountered the sugar drake. Sure. The sugar drake spoke. Yes, the sugar drake talks too, because why? I said so. The sugar drake said,
What are you doing in my sugarcane field?
Raborbitorg went to say something, then just ran on.
Huh?
Raborbitorg ran through the sugar cane, grabbing a few stalks as he ran. Raborbitorg found his path blocked by a giant boulder. Huh? Raborbitorg heard the sugar drake coming closer. Raborbitorg looked around frantically, trying to find an escape, until he remembered he could go invisible. He smacked himself in the head. Before becoming invisible, the sugar drake ran through the sugar cane. When it reached the giant boulder, it stopped in its tracks to find that its quarry had disappeared.
Where is he?
The sugar drake stalked off through the stalks in search of the Haresian. Raborbitorg reappeared and breathed a sigh of relief. Now that Raborbitorg had his milk and sugar, now he needed cocoa beans. He knew that the best cocoa beans would be found in the Yum Yum Oasis. I see a picture of trees with various food items on them. That's why I'm going to call this place the Yum Yum Oasis. So, there you go. The Yum Yum Oasis seemed to be home to some koalians. I heard a little bit about them. They were known to be docile, although I think these ones were mean from the look of it. Raborbitorg confronted the koalians to try and talk to them for some reason. Oh, great koalians, may I? Raborbitorg ran, with the koalians chasing him. Raborbitorg snuck back into the Yum Yum Oasis in the dead of night. I don't know why he didn't do that in the first place. Anyway, so Raborbitorg picked several cocoa beans before being chased off by the koalians. Again. Now that Raborbitorg had his milk, sugar, cocoa beans, he needed one last ingredient. Alright, so the tablets that mentioned the last ingredients seem to be missing. I think that was on purpose. I will do my best to continue. Raborbitorg got to work making the chocolate. Raborbitorg presented the chocolate to the invaders and they ate heartily. The invaders left since their hunger was satisfied, I guess. There was so much rejoicing over the invaders leaving and the finding of the world's most delicious chocolate. However, the persons, to be persons, let's go with it. The persons that Raborbitorg had acquired his ingredients from had arrived for their revenge.
How dare you steal more hay?
And my milk.
And my sugar.
The Koalians just roared. Raborbitorg calmed the situation. My friends, please. I am sorry for borrowing your property. Please, indulge in the fruits of my and your labor. So the Kangarigeny farmer, the Magicow, the Sugar Drake, and the Koalians feasted on the chocolate. Raborbitorg was pleased, until he heard.
Say, how did you make this chocolate?
Raborbitorg didn't want to give up the secret of the chocolate. That night, Raborbitorg would accomplish his greatest heist. When the Haresians woke up the next day, they were asked by the Kangarigeny farmer.
How did you make that chocolate?
One of the Haresians went to answer the Kangarigeny farmer. But what came out of the Haresian's mouth was an incomprehensible language.
What?
The Magicow inquired about the chocolate.
How did you make that delicious chocolate?
But as the Haresian tried to answer him, all that came out was...
What?
The Sugar Drake inquired about the chocolate.
How did you make the chocolate?
The Haresian tried to answer the Sugar Drake.
Sprechen Zorky Dorky Horty Dork Minority Dork Malarky Dork Minority Dork Horty Dork Dork Volordy Dork Minority Dork.
But the speech was incomprehensible.
What?
The Koalians tried to ask about the chocolate. In their own way. Haresian tried to speak to them, but yet again...
Get him my petaka sokoda. La patata sublada. Chapisata gets a mica to banto.
The Haresians could not be understood. Raborbitorg left his people to never be heard from again. I do hope I did the tale justice by my retelling. I will Hey, what are you doing? It's mine!